Hi everyone, my name is Cleus Glory Young and I'm the proud author of the Airport Adventure Live Safely bookazine and also the creator of the Kite family, which are the main characters within the story portion of the Airport Adventure. So, something that just came to my attention within the past couple of days that I wanted to bring to your attention too. So, many of you are aware that I'm in the process of developing a sneaker line, which this is the prototype. And the sneaker line is actually going to be a part of the Airport Adventure Live Safely bookazine. So, it's actually going to have its own sneaker. And for me at this particular time, while I was doing the development of the sneaker, I was looking at it that so often that we're trying to develop two different entities simultaneously, it can be so difficult. And at one point, I started to look at it. How could I overcome this difficulty? And that's when I started to look at the bigger picture. And when I saw the bigger picture, it made it so, when I tell you, made it so much easier. Like, wow. So one reason I'm doing this video is because I want you to actually see the bigger picture. So hopefully from seeing the bigger picture, life could be much easier for you. So going back to this now, I started to look at the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture between the Airport Adventure Live Safely bookazine and the sneaker line that I'm now developing, which is in its prototype stage? So I started to look at the bigger picture, which is the context of how is it that they're connected. And when I saw the connection, it just made it so much easier for me to say, hey, I can develop both of them simultaneously and still give each of them the attention that they would need to fully develop because they're a direct connect to each other. How so? So the Airport Adventure Live Safely bookazine gave the idea for me to develop the sneakers. So that's where the idea came from. And now that I'm developing the prototype, the word Aviated is actually placed on the sneakers. So that's directly connected with the bookazine in two contexts. One, the first context is where I'm saying the word aviate is the root word to the word aviation. Aviation is a part of what I would call the environment that hosts the airport. So when I say the airport adventure, I'm also talking about the aviation industry, right? So that's one. The second one now is the word aviate. The word aviate is a short breakdown or a summary for me to say what's in the contents of the Airport Adventure Live Safely bookazine. So within just one word, I could use the word aviate to really explain all the pages of what this is designed. And the context of that is how do you move from one location and arrive at a whole new destination. And for me, when I started to develop the Airport Adventure, that was the concept. I wanted people to now engage in this material, which will allow them to go to a whole new destination with their life. So that was that. But when I made the connection between the two and I saw the bigger picture, it just made it so much easier that I could develop this. And while I'm developing it, I'm promoting the contents of the book itself. And the book itself is what gave birth to the sneaker. So it's much easier for me now. And for me, I was looking at it, how could I make your life much easier? And one of the contents that I look at was you have to see things at the bigger level. What's the bigger picture? So in the community, this is what is done to us. You're the book and you're the sneakers. You stay over here, you stay over here. And there's no connection between the two. So life becomes difficult for both entities. So when we look at that, I could say, hey, the black people are on this side, the white people are on this side, the Mexican are over there, the Asian are over there, the rich folks are here, the poor folks are there. All separation. But the bigger picture for us to look at, how is it that we're connected? And when we start to see how is it that we're connected to each other, then life becomes so much easier. Here are 3 examples that I could give to you. So one, I would start off with what is called a tree and a human being. 2 different entities, right? But how is it that both of them are connected, which is the bigger picture? So the tree gives us what? Oxygen, and we give the tree carbon dioxide. So when we have that mutual connection of us now giving each other, what is it that we need to give to each other through the connection, then life becomes relevant for both of us. So that's one. The second one, I'm going directly into the airport. So when you go to the airport and you're going to take a long flight, like really long flight, sometimes you go in what is called a connecting flight. So you would fly to one airport and then connect to that flight, and then that last flight now will take you to your final destination. So that is called a connecting flight. So look at this now. If you miss that connecting flight, you can't get to your destination at that particular time. Later on, they can rebook you and you get there. But at that particular time, if you miss the connecting flight, you're not able to get to your destination. And it can cause a havoc for you depending on why you're going to that destination. Because, for instance, if you're scheduled to go to like a 1 o'clock meeting and your plane lands at, say, 12 o'clock, if you miss that connecting flight that's supposed to land at 12 o'clock, you may not be rebooked until like another hour or 2. So that means you're going to miss your meeting. So when you miss that connecting flight, you miss the relevance of who you're going to be when you arrive at that destination. So that's the second one. The third one is what I'm actually on right now, which is a cell phone. So I'm recording from a cell phone. So the cell phone has what is called a signal. A signal comes from what is called a tower. So a tower or a cell phone is 2 different entities. But if the tower doesn't send a signal to the cell phone and the cell phone doesn't reciprocate it and send back a signal, then there's no connection between the two, and then the phone has no relevance. So you can't use the phone to make a call because there's no connection there. So those are 3 things that I could really just highlight and show you. When there's no connection that's being made, then there's no relevance in what takes place between the entities. And that's what's going on in our community. We're now divided by, oh, you're the bookazine or the book, and you're the sneaker, and you're stay over here, you stay over here. You're not connected. And you don't see the bigger picture of how you're connected directly. And when you start to see the bigger picture of how you're connected, that's when life gets much easier. So for me, simultaneously, I could develop both of them at the same time, giving both of them the same attention that they would need to be fully developed, because they're both connected directly. If I'm out there wearing the sneakers, right, I'm talking about the word aviate. Aviate, that's the whole contents of the airport adventure. So I'm also talking about that from a standpoint. So it's much easier when you learn how to connect things. So you look around in your environment and you said, how am I connected to that? For instance, here's another entity. There's water out there. How are you connected to the water? 70% or 70+% of who we are water. So how is it that we're connected to the water, the ocean, the river, the stream? And when we start to understand how we're connected to these different entities that are in our environment, then life becomes so much easier. So the whole context or content of the airport adventure for me is to get people to what? Aviate. Aviate your mind to a whole nother level so you can now see the bigger picture. The bigger picture shows you how you're connected with the things that are around you. And when we begin to see that, now life becomes so much easier for all of us, not just for rich or the poor or the black or the white. It becomes easier for all of us. So for me, I just want to take that opportunity to share that insight with you. Learn how to see the bigger picture in the things that are around you. And when you see the bigger picture, which is making the connection, even though they look different, they're connected. That's one of the things that I really had to sit down and really do with the airport adventure, because when you look at the airport looks so much different from who we are as individuals. But when you do the research and you see the principles of what's put in place at the airport to run the airport, it's the same principles that we put in our life to make our life go to what? To the next destination that we're trying to get to. What is a destination in layman terms for us? One, I want to be a doctor. That's a destination. I want to be a lawyer. That's a destination. I want to be an actor. That's a destination. And when you learn the principles of what it takes for an airport to have its passenger goes to a whole new destination, then it's the same thing that you learn for your own life if you're trying to become that doctor, that lawyer, that teacher. They're all destination. You just got to learn it from one angle and then translate it over into your angle. So look at the bigger picture, how things are connected. And when you start to connect with the things around you, then life becomes much easier. When people out there are putting us in different entities, you're the black entity, you're the white entity, you're the rich entity, you're the poor entity, then it makes life difficult or harder for all of us, not just some, for all of us. Because that rich person has to pay attention to the poor person. Why? Because that poor person may have the intention to go rob that rich person. So life isn't that easy for that rich person as well. So again, this is one of the reasons why I'm so proud of the airport adventure. It gives me a new opportunity in life. It makes me go to a higher level, aviate. And from a higher level, I'm able to see life from a whole different angle, which means that I'm arriving at a whole new destination. And life has become so much easier for me. The things that used to bother me and challenge me, I now go into the process of what is called aviate. I learned how to aviate over them far and above so I could land at a new destination. So from me to you, look at the bigger picture and see how is it that you're connected to the things that are around you and to the people that are around you. And then when you see it now, just make the connection. And through the connection, you arrive at what is called relevance. Both entities now have relevance. So you're relevant, I'm relevant, he is relevant, she is relevant, all of us are relevant on this earth. If there's no relevancy in all of us here on earth, then we're all going down. Not the rich people, not the white people, not the black people, we're all going down. And this could be an example of what happened in 2020 with the pandemic. It wasn't like, oh, you're black or you're white. No, you're rich or you're poor. No, it affected everyone. And that's what I'm looking at. Let's look at the bigger picture. So from me to you, be safe, stay healthy, and build new possibilities. And one of those possibilities could be around making connection with the things and people that are around you. So you can now be connected and you see the relevance of who both of you are. Thank you. God bless.